you think about the attack on the Capitol? What were your thoughts when you saw that?
Wow. I actually cried. I took my kids to DC and my husband. That was the first time he had ever been there. My husband's been here 21 years. And he had never been to New York, never been to DC. But I took the kids and I took my husband. We went there for Thanksgiving a couple years ago. And just really tried to educate to our culture and our history and what exactly, was done there and what that stood for our country, our capital, our rights, our freedoms. And I cried. It was absolutely disgusting. I was surprised that I just kept thinking, like, where's everybody? Like, where's the National Guard? Where is the Capitol Police? Like, how are they getting in here? Like, it was just the worst, like a nightmare to think that our democracy, our country as a whole, was attacked by our own people. It was sad, and I cried, and I tried to teach to the kids, like, what exactly was happening, like, what it meant, like, where it came from. And the whole sad thing is I have a 10-year-old whose little mind really can't grasp the real world. And it's sad that at this point you have to teach to that so young, to let them know, like, this is what's going on, like, this is what you need to be aware of. It's almost like we're forcing to have to educate our children young, at a young age, like, this is what you may experience, this is what you may encounter. Like, I'll tell this story. I'll never forget my daughter Lola, when she was in school, like kindergarten through first, second grade. She's in fourth now. She used to say, my brown friend, my white friend. And then I'll never forget the day she came home and she said, my black friend. And I said, huh? And she was like, yeah, Mom, did you know my friends are black? And I was like, you mean they're African American? And she's like, yeah. And it made me sad. It made me sad because I was like, oh, she went from, oh, this person is my color, or this person is a little bit darker than me, to brown, to then to black. And I think there's that switch over where they start seeing race and color, whereas they didn't see it before. And it's a top behavior. It's a learned behavior. And then it just, goes from there. These kids, they're not born racist. They're not born seeing people's imperfections or their nationality, their hair. They're not born that way. They're made that way. They're taught that way.
100%. And that's why education is so important in this context. We need to make sure that we give people who are born into families where they're being exposed to racist ideas and white supremacist ideology, and they need to have an outlet, some way to hear different messages, to give themselves a chance not to be just totally overrun with negativity and hatred, because it's complicated when someone you love is trying to teach you hate, right? Like, that is a difficult situation, and no child should have to deal with that, and unfortunately a lot of them do. And my brother's girlfriend, her father was a member of the KKK. She was raised by a member of the KKK. So people have these connections. People have these histories in the white community as well. And we can't just brush that off and say that this is black people's problem, or this is Asian people's problem only, or this is Latino people's problem. This is all of our problem as Americans, and we're all affected in different ways. And this is, like you said, this is our country. This is our country and its history, and we're going to have to, reckon with it. That's what's happening, right? We're having a reckoning. And it's going to continue until we acknowledge our past and we acknowledge that the future needs to be different. And that's what I look forward to. You know, I look forward to that day when, you know, we really can drop the monikers of black and white. You know, that day that we can really actually see each other as human beings, and which is what we always are, you know. That path that you kind of described earlier of children and how they can become taught to be or to hold racist ideas, you know, it's interesting because for me, I guess the potential was there for me to believe that black meant inferiority, right? Like that me being black meant that I shouldn't get good grades, I should be in a gang, I should be cursing and, like, you know, being disrespectful and fighting against, you know, everything around me. And that's kind of what a kid told me directly when I was 6 years old. I still remember him, Enrico. And yeah, I ran into him 30 years later. And I mentioned to him what he told me when we were 6, and he apologized, and he said he didn't know, you know, what he was doing back then. And of course, neither did I, and neither does any 6-year-old generally. So,
Enrico.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, everyone's going through a different thing, right? Some people grew up with racist family members. Some people grew up with the scarlet letter, which is the color of their skin. Some people grew up sheltered, right? As you said, you were trying to protect Trystan and Lola from the type of situation that actually occurred. Some people are just exposed very early to a lot of it, and that changes their entire perspective on life in general, and they never change that perspective. Sometimes it can lead to a negative mindset that is very difficult to unravel later on. Even one single incident can change the trajectory of someone's entire life. And we need to be cognizant of that. We need to be more cognizant of that. There are too many people out here trying to suggest that racism is not a big problem, that we don't need to do stuff about it, that we don't need to teach people about it, that it should be relegated to, you know, just a necessary evil, basically. And that is the wrong mindset for us to be having as a nation. We need to instead develop a national anti-racist movement where all of us are involved in cleansing the toxic environment that we've created here and that's been cultivated.
Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support, and see you next time.